Welcome to Sisterhood Unfiltered, where we pull back the curtain on relationship advice and ask the tough questions nobody else wants to touch.
Whether you're stacking your coins, looking for love, or dodging toxic advice, this is your home for raw conversations and unfiltered truths.
Today, we're diving deep into a heated topic that has social media in flames. When the level of philosophy takes a dark turn.
So grab your headphones and maybe a glass of wine. This is Sisterhood Unfiltered, where we balance wisdom with a little sass and a lot of receipts.
I'm Sheena, but you could call me She for short. I'm a content creator here on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, I've been around a lot. Most people may know me from my spiritual content in my spiritual group, which I no longer do anymore. So right now, I'm just a housewife, taking care of my two sons, my husband, and yeah. So we just here spilling the tea today.
How long you been married?
I've been married officially for 2 years.
Okay. Do you like miss career? Like do you
I do
miss
not. So my
Girl, I
background
wouldn't even
is
Girl, I
oh yeah,
wouldn't
no.
even.
My background is because my background is in social work and mental health counseling. So it's like working a 9 to 5, it takes a toll on you. And it was the demographic that I was working with because I worked with substance abuse. That was like in like behavior kids. So it takes a toll on you after a while. But I still was able to use like the skills and stuff in like my doing my own thing. And I want to expand on that more. Like I used it a lot when I was a spiritual coach and all of those things, like, the skills that you learn helping people in the social work arena. So I do want to take that and then like do my own thing, minus the whole spirituality new age thing, if that makes sense.
I mean, it looks like you're doing that already on Facebook. To me,
Yeah.
like I've been watching you for a while. You know, we've been Facebook friends for a long time. So it just
Yeah.
seemed like you was kind of in the relationship, like, spiritual. I don't want to say too much spiritual, but I think you should do that because it's a lot of stuff that people don't understand about spirituality at all.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. And like from where I want to take it now is where it's really just educating people on the spiritual world, because a lot of people don't really think, like, maybe they know it exists but they don't really know how it works. And so because I was on that other side and I've seen some things, some really dark things, and it's so easy to get caught up in that because you don't even know what you're doing. Like, you don't even know, like, dealing with these different spirits and stuff. So I know that might be little too deep tonight, but
Yeah, when you talk about demons and spirits, I'm like, oh God. Well, we're about to talk about the dark side of some stuff. So I'm Soncerae. I'm a life coach. I have my certification. I have a degree in business. And I was a relationship coach for men for like 20 years. And then they kind of turned on me. So I started giving women relationship advice on TikTok. And I did that for 2 years. And then they turned on me because I like to hold both genders accountable. I'm single. I've been celibate for 7 years. The last man I was with was my son's father 7 years ago. And I have not been in a relationship since. But that brought a level of clarity to my life. Very much so. Um, Career wise, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, I want to go back into tech, maybe. I mean, if I have to, because the money is really good. I mean, if social media don't start kicking into gear as far as money go, I might go back to being a software engineer. I don't know, or a data analyst or something. But I mean, I like talking about relationships, but I don't like that everybody's talking about relationships so much on social media. You know how I feel about that shit. Everybody
yeah.
talk about relationships. I love it though. It's a passion. So if I can find a twist to talk about it, and it feels like everybody's in an echo chamber saying the same thing. And the people that are
Mhm.
the most popular on social media that everybody's listening to, they aren't necessarily the best people in the world to be listening to. So I don't know. I don't really like the people that's giving relationship advice. So it kind of made me not want to do relationship content, which it's bad, but it just took it away. It took the luster.
Well, you can't worry about them because I feel like you can bring your own twist to it. Like what you want to say needs to be said, and so the people that would gravitate towards you are the people that need to hear what you have to say. So that's how I feel too. Like I'm passionate about relationship topics as well. So even though a lot of people are doing it, I mean, it's still, you know what I'm saying, it's still room. It's still room for us.
Yeah, like when people, when you watch stuff on social media about relationships or whatever, just any advice in general, how do you even know how to decipher who you should be listening to or who you should be listening to?
It depends on what they're saying. Like first of all, you have to you gotta really listen to what people are saying, like the things they're saying to you. You know what I'm saying, or to their audience. Like if they're telling you to do something, like okay, so I would say this. This is what I would say. If depending on, are you talking about just women or men? Because with women, if you're listening to somebody and all they're constantly is talking about material things, shallow, everything is just so shallow. How to get money from a man, how to trick him, how to manipulate him. You okay? If it resonates with you, that's fine. If that's the type of
Even if
girl you are, you on that time. Go ahead.
even if it's manipulative stuff, if it resonates you and it's
If
manipulative,
that's,
you
you
still
know what
can.
I'm saying, because I can't really tell nobody, like, you know what I'm saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, you know what I'm saying, like, if it resonates, because that there are some women that they have that type of heart, like that it just resonates with them. But if you feel conflicted, like if it makes you feel uncomfortable in any type of way, I would say stay away from it. That's just a way to determine whether or not this advice is going to be helpful or not. You know, if they're telling you something that just conflicts with your morals, it's something that you normally wouldn't do. It gives you that, you know, you feel conflicted, like,
Yeah,
do I
a lot of
really
people
want to do that?
a lot of people don't have morals. You know what I mean? I guess it depends
Mm.
on where you are in life, like what level you on. Because if it resonates with you and you don't feel like nothing is negative, is it because you don't know no better, or is it because you're trying to seek revenge on the opposite sex? It can be a number of reasons, but I don't think naturally. Well, maybe you, because we were talking about darkness earlier. Maybe
Mm.
people are naturally like that. Do you think people are like naturally dark? Some people.
I don't believe that. I believe that trauma and things happen in your life that causes you to be that. I don't think
Yeah,
I
that's what I think.
I personally don't think that people are born dark. I believe in generational, um what some people will call curses, or generational spirits that
Hmm.
come through with, um but I believe that people naturally are good. I think that a lot of the darkness and a lot of the bad habits and things are things that happen to them over time, and it starts to manifest that way. Today's episode asks a question many are scared to explore. At what point does the advice marry rich crosses the line into dangerous manipulation? Mm.
And how much responsibility do content creators like Shira Seven bear when followers take their teachings too far? Let's talk about the women who followed this philosophy until her life turned into a nightmare recently. We're going to talk about Shira Seven, gold digging, and trophy wife culture.
So early this morning, I watched this woman's YouTube video where she disclosed that her husband raped their 4-year-old daughter. And if you look very closely in words, she wrote out that within the first couple of months of them being married, he actually raped her 4 times. Now, as you can see, her entire platform is based off of her being a new trophy wife and her teaching other women how to become one as well. So, of course, I went to some of her previous videos to see how her and the guy actually met. And lo and behold, Shira 7 was the guiding tool when it came to her choosing her spouse.
Learning quickly that everything that glitters is not gold, I happened to come across Shira 7 on YouTube, and she completely changed my life. And she basically taught me what a high value man is and what to look for when trying to find a husband. So I ended up taking my sister's advice and signing up for eHarmony. I think the second person that I matched with was the man that I'm married to now, my husband. And it was very different. My husband and I have a 20-year age gap, and he was not the first older man that I dated. And so when I met my husband, I knew right away almost, and people say that, but it was definitely true. I know it sounds cliche. Just from our first date, it just felt natural. I felt like I just had known this person.
So her and her husband first met online. It didn't work out. She ended up meeting another guy whom she moved herself and her 2 kids into his home because he was paying all of the bills. Once she realized that he was just kind of tolerating the kids and she really didn't see a marriage coming, she decided to end things. Now, during that process, her now husband contacted her to see how she was doing. She told him that she had just ended things with her then boyfriend and was moving out of the home, and her 2 boys were going to be needing a place to stay. So she was asking him if he could volunteer his place of residence. Now, surprising to her, he said that the only way that he would do that is if they got married. And she was so ecstatic that she bought him a ring first to make sure that he was serious. Now, keep it in mind, not only was she a product of grape, but she was also graped by one of her neighbor's husbands. So this isn't something that she's unfamiliar with. But I do believe that on top of her idolizing marriage and being a kept woman, the enemy used that against her. Because here you have this beautiful woman who ends up with this man who's 20 plus years older than her. You move your kids in with him hastily. Y'all get married within a year. You have 2 kids by him after being raped 4 times within a few months. I mean, it's just so much trauma wrapped up in a beautiful present. But this is why we should never use other people's lives as a guide on how we should live ours. Because you never know what's going on behind closed doors, clearly. And as a mother myself who is unmarried, speaking to other unmarried mothers, marriage is not a need, it is a want. That was never a promise that God gave us. It was an option. And although you may desire it, you should always move with grace, discernment, but never out of desperation. My prayers goes out to this woman, her daughter, and their family, and I hope this man rots in jail.
How did you find out about who the new trophy wife is? Is there a trophy wife before her and she just came second, or she just the original
There
content
were
creator
lots
named the
of
trophy wife?
Okay. Her video came across like my suggested my feed on YouTube like a year ago. And
Okay.
so I just clicked on it. I was like, "Oh, here go another one." Because it's not like she wasn't the first one. It's like that was a hustle. Like it's a hustle. It still is a hustle. Like
Right.
women a part of it, yeah, they want to be married. Yes, they want to say that they're married to a rich man. A lot of them aren't. They're just putting up a facade because they want to be able to do coachings and consultations, and they want to be able to like sell. They don't want to basically make money off of it. So that's the reason why a lot of women were like saying that, they were just like rich housewives or whatever. And so when
Okay.
I seen her pop on my YouTube suggested videos, I'm like, here's another one. So I just clicked on it because she's a real pretty girl, just to see what she had to say. And like when I think the first video I saw, she said she got married in a week to a rich man, and now she's like a stay-at-home wife. So that made the title made me want to click on it and see what she was talking about. And I immediately, because I have that discernment, I was immediately like, this is a bunch of fluff. You know what I'm saying? And it's always more to it behind the story. Anytime they're making it seem like they're only talking about the positives, and they're only talking about just how great it is and how great this man is, and he's just so rich and wealthy. To me, it automatically comes off like they're trying to sell something
Right. They're
eventually,
like little salesmen.
right. And so that's how I took her content, and then I just clicked off the video, and I never go back. But I said, because this is what a lot of young girls are gravitating to. Because it's a facade, it's a fantasy life that a lot of women want. So I knew she was gonna, start growing fast. But I didn't subscribe to her channel. I didn't hear anything from her until the other day when I seen people sharing her videos. And also, she did mention, like, I think it was like in that first video, that she owed her finding this man to the advice that she got from Shira. And she's not the first. Like I said, she's not the first to do that. There are a few women, because Shira has a large following of a lot of women, but there's like a couple that said that they were able to secure what they say, a bag, secure the bag, secure a husband. There's like a few. So I guess she was
I
like one
remember
of
asking you. I remember asking you, like, did you know any women that actually benefited from Shira's advice? Because I hadn't seen anyone say, "Hey, this shit works for me." Like, I think I seen maybe two or three women say, "Hey, Kevin Samuels works for me," or Derek Jackson worked for me, or like some shit like
them.
that. But I had never seen a woman be like, Shira Seven's advice literally helped me. It seems like it's parody to me. Like, it should be something you only take as far as only take as a joke. But I mean, I don't know how to break down her advice, but all I've seen was like gold digging stuff, leveling up stuff, and prioritizing financial gain inside of relationships. And I think the reason why there's some type of appeal to it is because she's appealing to women who are living in their trauma and their toxicity to begin with, so they feel unloved or overlooked or underappreciated or financially insecure. So she's like basically capitalizing off of women who are in the middle of some type of desperation. And even with this trophy wife woman that we're talking about, what do you do? Do you know her real name? Because I don't know her real name. I just keep calling her trophy wife.
I
You know
don't know
her?
her. I don't know her real name. I
Well,
don't. Um,
she was in desperation when she decided to marry her husband, which was like maybe 4 years ago, right? They have a 2 year old and a 4 year old, and she had two sons before she married this man, and she had nowhere to live. So she contacted this man and basically said, "Hey, I need somewhere to live." And he was like, "Well, flat out, you can't live with me unless you marry to me." And so that's how only after a week of courtship they end up, getting married. But she did say, like you said, she did say that Shira was the reason why she handled the situation that way. So when I posted on my Facebook page, did you post on your Facebook page this story yet? Did you talk to your audience about it yet? Well, when I talked to
I,
my audience
I,
about it, huh?
yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I've been talking about this for like the past 2 years.
No, I'm
Didn't I
talking
tell
about
you?
this
Like,
specific.
oh no,
I'm talking about this
not
specific
her.
lady.
Oh, not her. No, 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 no. I didn't talk about her because this isn't the first time that the advice went wrong. That somebody said they
Right.
got advice from her and it went left. Like, this isn't the first time. So I've been, not this particular story, but I have been talking about other cases. Not to this degree though, like, because I used to
Yeah.
do readings. So I started to see there was there was a pattern of the women that were coming to me for readings, and they all had this pattern of like brokenheartedness, like trauma, like something had, went on in their life, but they were all wanting to secure like this rich man. They just had just a lot of stuff going on, and they would always seem to be in a desperate position. It seems like, and I guess that's the reason why her advice seems so, and not just her, just because she's not like the only one. A lot of women started to do what she'll like piggyback off of her and give toxic advice. But a lot of them were taking this advice and they were getting themselves into like some messed up situation with men. And it's like, like, and I seen some of the comments like on your post where it was women that were talking about, well, she tells you not to get your own money and don't be desperate, but at the same time, she's always telling you to be a damsel in distress. Well, and I haven't, and let me just say this, I haven't watched her content in probably like the last almost going on 3 years. So I don't know what she's talking about now. But I do know like
It seems to be the same.
is it the same? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
2 years
she
ago.
giving the business advice, like business, not
Yeah, she
business
calls
advice,
it
but business
financial. She's
attire.
a fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, business advice? I know they were saying that she was telling people that she was a financial advisor.
yeah.
I know that
No,
that
that's
she was saying
bullshit.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's us.
Because and so her disclaimer now, I will say, like she gives disclaimers. She tells them this is entertainment because she know like
Oh my God, she
actually,
says it. She says it, and
yeah.
they still apply it to their life.
Yeah, she says this is entertainment. That's what I'm saying. Like
Oh
she
my
gives the
God.
disclaimer, and people don't understand, and that's why like I be wanting to talk about the spiritual part of it. That a lot of people just live in this box though. They're so mundane that they may not get it, but like there's a spiritual aspect behind it too, and so she gives disclaimers because you have like the spirit, like they have to tell you, they have to give you the warnings. So they tell you this is entertainment. Basically, don't take me seriously. If you do take me seriously, I mean, you're liable. Basically, it's a lot of spiritual legal things that go on that people really don't quite understand. So like if you already have that heart, like I remember her saying stuff like her heart is cold. She put her heart on the shelf. If you're gonna take this advice, you can't have a heart.
Oh wow.
But that's very damaging spiritually. And do you know what type? Because I'm a firm believer. I still believe that you attract what you are on a certain level. Okay, well, what you entertain, because you can attract a lot of things, but what you entertained, and a lot of people, if you have that cold heart, what do you think you're going to attract into your life? What type of people do you think is going to manifest from that? Cold-hearted people. So it just puts you in a dangerous situation. And if you don't like know any better, like you can pretty much ruin your whole life. And I've been saying this for probably the last 3 years. And people have come for me. Like they like, well, you can't blame
Yeah.
her. And nobody's fully putting the blame on her because we do make our own choices, but we can't just say that she's not partially the blame, especially if you're someone who's out here lost, you're in a desperate situation, and this person, this comes in front of you and they seem to have all the answers. So you're
I
gonna
mean, we
follow
have a
the advice.
responsibility. When you
Right.
are someone who considers yourself, whether you're saying your advice is entertainment purposes or not, whether you're giving that disclaimer or not, at the end of the day, you are perpetuating this type of lifestyle that people are going to eat up, and you have a responsibility as a content creator for the people that follow you. Like that's what being a leader is. Their life
Mm-hmm.
becomes your responsibility, and I think this is a prime example of how negativity can beget more negativity, because the trophy wife was uh, basically using Shira's teachings, even though it's classified as entertainment purposes. She was applying it to her real life. And then she would turn around and create this content herself and promote the similar gold digging advice, and continuing to create a cycle of toxic influence. And that influence is what people are that influence that Shira has, or any content creator has. People are trying to act like creators don't have that influence, when a content creator get on the internet and tell people to wear a certain makeup, wear a certain lace front, wear a certain shoes. It's people out here copying the way people dance, the way people move, the way people talk, other people's videos. And that type of
Absolutely.
stuff is completely fine to you until something bad happens to somebody, until
Right.
that content makes somebody commit suicide or murder someone, or make a poor choice to where it turns their life into something negative. And then now it's suddenly, oh, it's not the content creator's fault, it's the person who listened to the content creator. I don't think, as a content creator, and I've been a content creator for a long ass time, I don't think that I would alleviate myself of the responsibility of my influence on other people. You know what I mean? I'm a leader. I have to take accountability for that, you know?
Right. Right. And it's true. You're in front of an audience. You're curating an audience. So you are responsible to a certain extent for what you put out, just like celebrities are. Like I always say, like we have ear gate, eye gate, my things. So the things that we say, the things that we see, the things we listen to, those are like portals basically. So you have to be careful, like the person on the other side. Like you have to be careful of what you're ingesting, just like the person who is in front of the camera who has the audience. You do have to think about the impressions that you're leaving on other people, because people, like, they're programmable. Like, as human beings, like, we're programmable. So if you're ingesting content, and I know for myself, when I first started to listen to Shira, I would listen to her. I would be on my lunch break listening to her. I would go home, I would be listening to her. Like it was constant. So a lot of girls do it. They say, like, I go to sleep to Shira. So when you're doing that, you're programming yourself. So you can't tell me that doesn't have any effect on you. Just like music has an effect on you. Just like the things you watch, the movies you watch, all of those things have an effect on you. So you can't sit up here and soon as something bad happens and it's someone who you idolize, you can't say that they weren't partly responsible. I'm sorry. It's just, that's just what it is. Like, just because you love them and just because you look up to them and they're your idol does not take away, like, it doesn't justify them not having some type of responsibility in the consequences of what happens when someone actually takes this advice and actually, like, implements. And some of the things I remember her saying were kind of, it was dangerous, like going to the bar by yourself, and all of that. To me, when you actually do that to the people who are around you, you are looking, I would say, like, I don't, can I say the word prostitute?
Prostitute. You can say prostitute.
Okay.
you can say
They think
you can
you're a
say prostitute.
prostitute.
I bleep it out if I got to. But yeah, that's what you look like when you sitting at the cigar bars, you look like a
Yeah, so
high
you
end
can't get
escort.
right, so you can't get mad. Yeah, and I remember, like, I seen this girl on TikTok. She was like, her advice worked. I came in, I was looking sexy. I sat at the bar, and a guy bought me a drink. Of course, he's gonna buy you a drink, ma'am. He's gonna buy you 10 of them. Okay, he's gonna get you tore up. Yes, he
Right.
is. So he can have his way. Like, come
Exactly.
on.
I don't know why she doesn't say that to them too. Did she add on that? Like, did she be like, oh, by the way? And I doubt it. By the way, I was watching a live stream of hers the other day on TikTok, and she was telling women that men don't like walking and holding hands on the beach, and men don't fall in love, and the only thing that men really feel comfortable doing is providing for women financially. And it's stuff like that, that when you say this is for entertainment purposes only. You can't apply it like that to what these women are doing because they're applying it to their real lives. They're creating a lifestyle. They're building their relationships with men based on this entertainment purposes content. They're not seeing the disclaimer. If the primary consensus of her content was, I'm acting and pretending, and I'm not, the kind of woman that would do certain things like that. I'm just saying this because it's, entertaining. Then yeah, but that's not how. It's not a movie. You can't turn on that. It's not scripted. If you feel what I'm saying. Like she
Right.
uses her life, like she uses her experience with her husband. What's his name again? What's his name?
James. James.
James. And,
Hmm.
and here's the thing that I don't understand. Like, how the fuck are y'all listening to a woman who flat out said she was a side chick and home wrecked and destroyed somebody's marriage on purpose because she's a cold hearted person? Why would you want to be that? The only
Because
reason
the
a woman
bills
will want
get
to be that,
paid.
right? If you get paid saying that, number one, and that revenge, she's exploiting people who are in pain. That's the problem for me. She's exploiting women who are in pain. If you aren't in pain and you are healed, you wouldn't think any of that advice would be something that you should apply to your life. So these women who are damaged and vulnerable are becoming her targets, and that's when this is a problem. And no one talks about this enough. And I think it's because when people talk about it, they kind of get like attacked, right?
Oh, they definitely get attacked. It's
Yeah, you get
worse than the
attacked.
Beehive. It's almost as bad as Beyonce. It's almost as bad as if you would say something about Beyonce. It's the same type of attack, and I know we're not talking about spiritual stuff, but there's a spiritual reason behind that. The reason why, okay? It's almost not almost, it's basically a spell, okay? A lot of these people
Okay.
are under a spell. When you look at her content, you're pretty much under a contract, a coven,
Oh, okay.
that you don't even realize. So it's like they don't see the wrong in it. They don't see the wrong in it. Even though like we're sitting up here, we're talking about it like God, like how can you say that you're a cold hearted person? Like how can like when she was saying that stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess that's right. Like, I guess you have to take your feelings out. But the thing about it, she's talking about a certain type of man. Like like and I had to come to the realization of that, like all men are like this, and I knew that, like I already knew that. But when you ingest that content, it'll have you thinking, well, maybe men, all of them are the same. Maybe they're all
Right.
lost and they don't love,
Yeah.
and they're just trying to use me. Oh
You know what it
my
is? They're
god.
easily accessible. A toxic man can get your attention much faster because they know how to. They know how to manipulate you. They know how to seduce
Yes.
you and charm you. They make themselves. They apply pressure. I notice.
Mm.
Their toxicity. They come at you harder than any kind of man. The good men are usually standoffish. What I've noticed, they kind of
Yes.
take their time, slow motion with it. Toxic
Hmm.
men run straight towards you. They
And
apply
that should
so
be a
much
red
pressure.
flag.
Yeah,
That
it
right
should
there should
be.
be a red flag. That right there
But
should be a
when
red flag
but
because
when you
they do move
deprived,
fast.
but when you deprived and you ain't held nobody, you ain't had sex, you ain't had a man love you, you ain't been on a date, you ain't been talking to nobody, a little bit of attention feel like, oh my God, he's paying me attention. It feels like you've
Not
been given the world, you know?
and not just the attention. Add some money to that, baby. It's whatever. Then whatever you want, daddy. Like you know what I'm saying? Like because it's like the material things are now what's running everybody. Everybody wants money. Everybody wants a bag. Everybody wants to look like they're rich and famous. And everybody just, there's a look. Now, don't get me wrong. I love some designer. You know what I'm saying? I love all of those things too. I like it, not love it. Like it's not, I'm not going to compromise my morals and my reputation for it. That's the difference. And my
When you
safety. My
when your
safety.
safety, right?
My safety.
When you were listening to her content, like where were you morally? Do you remember?
So when I was listening to her content, I was very heavy into occult practices. I was very heavy into it. And so in the occult, they teach you about duality. So basically there's good and bad, and I mean there's good and bad, there's light and dark, but we need both. We need both, okay? And so it makes you think that it's very deceptive, first of all, okay? And it's a reason why the information is hidden, because it should be hidden, because put in the wrong hands, you will self-destruct. But we're basically, it's taught that, darkness is good. We come from dark. Dark is just a part of us. What they told us was bad is really good. But the thing about it is, when you start to actually put yourself in it, and you start to do that, and you start to see, like, there's a price that you pay for it spiritually, whether it's your mind or whatever. And so that the consequences is what brought me out of it. I will say that.
Did you start experiencing the consequences, or the fear of the consequences is what made you stop?
No, I started experiencing the consequences with
Okay.
the mental battle. Yeah, where I
Yeah.
literally was about to go crazy. Like, I, spiritually attacked, gang stalked, and all of those things that some people may not believe in, but it's true. Like, it really does happen, and so
It
that's what
does.
was happening to me.
I mean, that's
Financial
why,
attack, witchcraft.
yeah, that's why you and I connect so well, because we both experienced something similar,
Mhm.
like the stalking and the gang. Lord. Anyway, so here's what I'm not even gonna get. So, do you think her advice promotes dependency or empowerment? Do you think it empowers women? Like, how does it empower women? Because I see women talking about how her advice is good for them and it's a saving grace for them. Is it just for entertainment purposes to help them get out of their heartache? Or, like,
I will
what is
say
it
this.
really?
Yeah, I will say this. Her advice, what she it will keep you from getting played by men. It's like you turn into the player. So of course it's gonna keep you from avoiding the men who play the games. But at the same time, the good men, the men that you need, the men who aren't gonna grape your kids or grape you and all of that stuff, you're repelling them, because any
Right.
good man isn't want he's not gonna want to be with a woman who is like playing those type of games, and they know it because they're men, and those are basically the type of games that they play, so they know what you're doing. The only type of men that fall for it, it seems, are men that have an agenda. They
Right.
already know what they're what they want to do, or maybe just a man that just doesn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? He's just maybe not that smart or bright or desperate. And that does
I don't.
so. You don't think that, but
No, no, no,
he
no, no. That's
becomes
not what I
more
was
of
gonna
a
say.
predator. Okay.
Yeah, you do. What I was gonna say is, I don't like that men can smell a woman's desperation and her trauma, and then they pounce on her and do worse to her than what
Mhm.
was inflicted on her previously. And I feel like with this trophy wife, this guy, when she contacted him and said, "I don't have anywhere to go. My last relationship ended," and I think this was her second time trying to like find somewhere to live, because the first time I think she was like married, and then they got to divorce, and then she got in another relationship, but that didn't work out, and then she met her current husband, she's accusing of saying her children. I think he picked up on the fact that she had been like violated when she was younger, and the truth about getting violated sexually that a lot of people don't admit is a lot of beautiful, very very beautiful girls get molested and raped when they're in elementary school and shit like that by their fathers, their uncles, their cousins. male and female. So
Mhm.
I think when you start learning about sexuality young and you're getting violated young, you start carrying that trauma with you. And pedos and creeps and stuff can pick up on that. And
Mhm.
they really just tear you apart once they find out. And it's just like, as a woman, how do you protect yourself from such a thing?
Well, with that,
What do you think? Like, what advice would you give about that?
I feel like with that, there has to be like a level of healing that has to happen. And that was another thing I know that Shira, she always said that there's no such thing as healing. Like, you know, like to say you're healed is to admit that you're broken, basically. And the best thing to do is just just get over it and just continue to live life. But I think you do need to pause, and I think that there has to be some healing that has to take place within your spirit so that those type of men, you'll be able to have that discernment. Because when you heal, okay, when you heal, you become closer to source, creator, God. Once you do that, then you open yourself up to a level of discernment. So once you have that discernment, when those type of men come around, no matter what they're saying, no matter how they're acting, you'll be able to pick up on those red flags and immediate exit, the situation. I feel like that's, you have to start hearing from God. That's what I believe. I know some people may, if they don't believe in it, that's, to me, that is the solution. You got to start having a closer relationship with the creator so that you can have the discernment to be able to protect yourself from more types of these predators, because if not, it's going to keep manifesting in your life. It's going to just keep happening like a merry-go-round. It's gonna keep being the same situations over and over and over and over again until you decide to get off, pause, and get a closer relationship with the Most High.
From my own personal experiences, I feel like I had, and I try to tell people this all of the time without saying it wrong to where I get a lot of backlash. But I had enough sex in my lifetime that will last me a couple of lifetimes. And it was because when I was younger, I used to think that any form of attention was a man loving me. And when I was younger, my stepfather was molesting me, and he would tell me that all women were good for was sex, and that's all we were supposed to do for men. So for a long time, I thought that. So I was just sleeping with guys, right? I didn't even know. And it was difficult because I started ministering when I was like 15. I started going to church and ministering, and I ministered until I came to Atlanta. I maybe ministered the first year or so, and then Atlanta like changed that environment because it's a hypersexual place. It
Mm-hmm.
changed who I was as a person, and it pulled me further away from God. And it wasn't until I decided to be celibate longer than a year or two to where this clarity came through to where now I can see that a man playing games from a distance. And I don't give
Mm-hmm.
them the benefit of doubt like I used to. The celibacy has gave me a level of clarity. It's different being a celibate for 1 year or 2 years versus the 7 I've been celibate
Mm-hmm.
now. And the clarity that I get now, it's like you got to be so close to God that you can hear God's whisper. When I meet a
Yeah.
guy now, when I'm talking to a guy, God like tell me right then, and either I'm gonna be like, oh, I used to be like, should I give him the benefit of the doubt? I know God telling me this. I know blah blah blah. Now I don't do that. Now when I hear
Mm-hmm.
God tell me no, I just be like, all right, then it's been real, brother. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
before that, it wasn't like that. And I feel like I had a lot of dark forces, not as so much of me doing witchcraft and stuff, but I feel like to some degree spiritually, something was attacking me. And
Mm-hmm.
people used to tell me this all the time. Like people would hit me up on Facebook, send me messages, email me, and tell me that somebody was like spiritually attacking me. And they wouldn't tell me who. They would just be like, these spirits are doing this and you need to do this cleanse and that cleanse. And some of them would be like, I'll help you if you pay me. Others would be like, listen, this is what you do. I'm gonna help you for free because I need these demons or these spirits to get off your back. And it's happened for so long. Like, and it, my career, everything in my life, my relationships, my career, my family, everything, it was so hard. Like I felt like I was fighting every day to like defend myself and all types of shit. I just kept getting played and lied to and stolen from, and it was just like and since I did my like sexual cleanse and I've been celibate for 7 years, most of that stuff gone. Like I don't have that
Yeah.
it's gone. I, I guess I gotta. I don't know. It's maybe it's a different force around me, a different energy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But something is a force around me now that I can't. I don't experience that same stuff. And I took myself out of Atlanta because there's a lot of demons rearing underneath that city. Like that city is,
Oh yeah.
wow,
Oh yeah.
that city is a trip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Right. I
But
know. Right.
yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But definitely because what happened, the reason why now you can hear God's whisper is because you change your habits. That's what it's about. Like when I say like you got to do the healing, that's basically what the healing is that you got to get it to a point where you're changing your habits. Like those things that you used to do that you knew that
Mhm.
was harmful to your mind, body, and spirit, you stopped engaging in those things.
I
And
don't
when
think
you,
I knew. I didn't
well,
know.
no,
I
you don't
just
know.
was.
You
Yeah.
did
Why?
it.
Why didn't I know
Yeah.
though?
You didn't have to
That's what
know.
I
Your
don't.
spirit knew. Your spirit knew. You know, you were still being led by the spirit. Because a lot of times we do
Yeah.
things we don't know why we do it, but it
Yeah.
ends up working in our favor. You were being led by the spirit. So there's something inside of you that knew what it needed to know to do, and so you did that
No, I mean the
because
stuff I
oh,
wasn't doing. I mean the stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. I don't
hmm
understand why I thought it was okay. Now I understand when I was younger, when I told you my stepfather told me that women were only good for sex. When I got older and I started realizing that that wasn't smart
true.
to be doing that, why did I still use sex as a way to for me? Like I was
I
believing that
get
the men that had sex with me loved me. I thought
you.
that. I thought they liked me. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Why didn't I know that?
It was
Spiritually.
due to the trauma. To the trauma.
Even when I
No.
got older?
Yeah, because it's still trauma. It's still trauma. When you experience trauma when you're a child, you carry that, you continue to carry that with you. I believe it is a spirit that does attach itself to you through that. That's how spirits get in, through trauma. That's why
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who go through a lot of things, most of the time they experience a lot of trauma in childhood. A lot of celebrities, they experience, if you listen to their stories, they always
Mm-hmm.
experience some type of trauma. And so you were being influenced by the spirit, and there was a void there that needed to be filled, and you filled it with sex.
Sex,
And
drugs,
so
alcohol.
yeah, all of
Yep.
those things, you filled it, and
Yep.
now once you stopped that, you turned away from that, and now you gave God the opportunity to come in and fill that void.
You know what it feels like? It feels like I was never that person. Cause I can't have one drink without being drunk as fuck. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I haven't drank or smoked or had sex in such a long time that it's almost like when I drink or smoke, I'm taking a drink or smoke for the first time. So even if I drink like a glass of wine, the hangover the next day, it's like I drank a whole bottle or something. And I don't think it
Mhm.
has anything to do with age. I think it's
And I
my
was gonna say,
spirit is
yeah, people
different.
say it is, because I know people say,
No,
"Oh,
because
girl, that's because you in your 40s now." You know what I'm saying? But no, it's a
no,
spirit. It's a spirit. It's a spirit. Those spirits are
girl.
like they use, because they don't have bodies, so they have to attach to
Right.
ours. So the way that
Okay.
they're able to experience this material plane, this material world, is through us. So the urges and things that you have, it wasn't you. That's just like every thought that you think is in your thought. Like if it's a
Yeah.
thought that's a low vibrational thought that goes against, you normally wouldn't think that. It's not your thought. It's not your thought.
And like the intrusive ones. So sometimes I'll have
Yeah.
an intrusive thought and I'll be like, where did that come from? Because I wouldn't have usually thought that or said that or, you know.
Hmm.
But then I don't want to sit here and be like, the voices are telling me to do that. You know, it's not like that. It's just like,
I
I'd
know.
be like,
Yeah.
where did
People,
that shit come from?
people know. People know they hear voices. Now, if they don't hear if they don't hear thoughts in their head, then they some type of NPC or something. Like they just walking around like a zombie. Like we
Uh,
all should have inner dialogue. Everybody,
yeah, like I talk to myself sometimes. I'll be in the car like, no, this motherfucker did. Like, shut
you know what I'm
up. I talk
saying? Like
myself
we
arguing
got,
with
we all
myself.
have inner dialogue. We supposed to.
Well, I also think a lot of the intrusive thoughts I have come from me reading comments on social media. Like sometimes I'm reading a lot of negative comments. So a lot of times negative comments will replay in my mind.
Mm,
And if
that's
someone was telling me
natural.
something negative about myself, I'll think that about myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of negative comments, there's this guy, back to this trophy wife lady. This guy came into my comment section and he said that we should blame her because she failed her children. And the reason why he was saying that is because her husband had violated her in the beginning of their marriage and she stayed with him after that. And also, they have a significant age difference. This man is 20 years older than her. So, nothing in her said that there was a possibility that maybe he would violate their children. Like, nothing hit her and said that. And so, the guy came in the comment section and said, women need to hold this woman accountable for putting her children in harm's way. But my thing is, there were some systematic issues that made her vulnerable to abuse long before she met him. And then adding on the influence of Shira didn't help either.
What's the point of him being 32, fucking me at 17? But what's the point of being sad? They just gon' label you as fast. Cause you know dope boys not pedophiles long as they get in the bag. So what's the point of being mad? You better off not giving a fuck. They be screaming they hate P. Diddy, but still love they uncles. What's the point of keeping secret? If he a threat to all the nieces, and why y'all hurting all the angels so you can protect all the demons?
How do we address the victim blaming and where is the line between holding a person accountable and victim blaming them?
Yeah, and it's
Like,
it's natural for someone to always want us to like point the blame and point the finger at others. Um, you know, I just want to say it's very unfortunate what has happened. Like those poor babies, that's all that I'm thinking about in this case is the daughters. Um, we can't put the full blame on anybody. I feel honestly. Um, there are so many factors that played a part, some that we probably don't even know. Um, first, let me say too that I commend her for actually letting us know what happened, like being so vulnerable enough to put that out there and tell us like what happened. This is the result of this. I know people are trying to say that, oh, you're not blaming the man. He's the only one to blame. And the thing is, it's like, yes, that like what he did was terrible. It was horrible. Anybody that can do that, I feel like is a monster. And at the same time, though, as a woman, you do have a responsibility to protect your children. You do. I'm pretty sure based off the trauma and everything that she experienced probably had a lot to do why, and the fact that she was in desperation mode anyway. She just wanted this lifestyle. She just wanted this man because she had goals in her mind of what she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? She overlooked a lot of important things, and a lot of women do that. She's not alone in that. Um but to just fully say she is the problem, I can't really say that. I can't.
Yeah, I can't. It's too, like, she didn't know. Like, she had no idea until she took her child to the doctors. And then to know that he was doing it to both of them. That's why I tell women to avoid these significant age gaps between them and another man, because if they could go younger than you legally, they would.
Money has never motivated me enough to lay up with a man I'm not attracted to. When I was young, I liked a young man that looked good, smelled good, body good. I never could just lay up and deal with a man just because he had money. And I guess that's the fool I am. When I see a picture of Rick Ross with his new 27-year-old girlfriend that he is 21 years older than, and she's a beautiful, young, tight body, everything, girl, I say to myself, girl, what are you doing with this man? But then I remember that Rick Ross is a very rich man, and I still say to myself, but what do you have to do? Because as women, we know when them lights go down and you in the bed with this man, the money ain't there. You got to smell him. You got to put your mouth places on him and all this kind of things. And for me, like, if I don't like you, if I'm not attracted to you, that's so hard for, like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I wish these young girls would give life a chance before they resort to this shit. Like, she says she's a model. She has a eyeliner company, right? Give that shit a chance before you break down to this, baby.
And it's like, at what age does it become perversion to a woman to be dating a man who's significantly older than her? Like, how much older than you does he have to be? I mean, even if you're over your 30, like if you're 35 and you're dating someone that's 80, you don't mind gargling wrinkly ass balls? I mean, I don't understand. How is that still, like,
I mean, to be honest, it is low key
how?
pedophilia. It's
It
a
is.
lot of the stuff, and it's crazy how a lot of these things are trending now. Like with the whole Diddy situation, but it's it it's pedophilia. It could also be low key sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Okay, it could lead to what do you call it when the what do you call it when the man kills you out of because he loves you so much, and then he commits suicide, whatever that's called. So it leads to like all of those horrible
That's
horrible
terrible.
things. But yeah, it is it a part of it is pedophilia. A part of it could lead to sex trafficking. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's very dark. That's why I don't understand why people think that being in your dark feminine and having a cold heart is gonna get you anything good. Like,
I
how do you
mean,
think the outcome? Like, it's not.
do you think, I remember when Cassie first admitted that things was, how things were between her and Diddy, and I got on social media and I told people that I remember when Cassie first started dating Diddy. Because I'm from Washington, D.C., and if you know anything about Washington, D.C., Philly, Maryland, Virginia, New York, all of that is almost like one place, and everybody kind of like know each other. And so back then, the rumor was that Cassie knew about Diddy and she would see him tormenting him and would laugh and think it was funny. To me, she was in her dark feminine. Her dating Diddy to begin with, considering that he's 30 years older than her, that's some dark femininity type of thing. Well, when you and I was talking about the girl that's dating, was that you I was talking to when we were talking about Rick Ross? And him dating some, I think that was just on social media, on Facebook in general. I don't think that was you specifically. I was saying I couldn't understand how Rick Ross has a new girlfriend right now who's like in her early 20s. And these women can like date Rick Ross when he's clearly not the most attractive man in the world, but he's like financially straight, right? That significant age gap, that's dark feminine to me. I don't understand how any girl could look at a man that much older than her and want to be with him. Why?
Because of the benefits,
I mean,
again.
outside of the money, if she's not in her dark feminine, then what would possess her to do something like that? It has to be a dark feminine type of thing or a traumatic thing to make her want to do that. Right?
Yeah, a lot of time the men have that dark feminine spirit on them too now, because
Okay.
that's possible, and they see a younger girl and they're able to basically like woo her if she's young and inexperienced, and maybe she's
Right.
coming from like a poverty type of background where she doesn't have a lot, and even outside of the money, you know what I'm saying? He's coming in and he's being like this father figure that she never had in her life. Then it's all, and it's almost kind of like the pimp in the hoe. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll pimp her basically. And so you see that all the time. Even if the man doesn't have money, if he like they say, if I could get your mind, I could get your body. So that's why they go after your mind.
Later. Um. So, as far as the level up narrative, right? Why emotional intelligence, safety, and personal healing are just as important as financial gain inside of relationships. That's what we need to talk about, because what's happening is most women are only caring about finances right now, and they feel like a man's finances is what gives him a good character. So
And that could be
why
further from the truth.
you say what?
And that's so far from the truth. That's so far from the
Yeah,
truth. Because you remember we were talking about that. We were talking about how like women were saying, okay, well, poor men are pedos too. Poor men do these types of crimes too, as if the rich ones don't. But let me tell you this. The reason why I feel like the statistics are so high that men would do this in poverty, because they get caught. There's actually justice behind it. They could go to jail. You know what I'm saying? They could go to prison behind those things. If you have a man that has money, a lot of times they're even bigger monsters because they have the money, they have the power, and they have the influence. So guess what? They could do all they want to you and nothing's going to happen to them. They're not going to be touched because they have all of these connections and relationships with the authorities. So you can go and it's going to be swept under the rug. Nothing's going to ever happen. And that's the difference. I don't think women even think about that. They don't even think about that when it comes to wealth. You know what I'm
they
saying?
don't.
Not a lot of. Why do you think they associate? And I'm not saying money is evil. I'm not saying that, but it's the person, and once they get money, it amplifies it. And it's a lot of people that can't, like, they get money. Once they start getting money, even if they grew up in money, like, it does something to their ego. Like they just have,
Power.
there's no right, the power. It's a lot of people that have money that are not good people, like a lot of them. So I don't
Right.
know why they equate that to that. Like, I don't know if they just haven't met a lot of wealthy people. I don't know, but um yeah, those are probably the ones. I'm not saying to not ever, try to get with someone who has money, but not just for the money. It's about the character of the person. You need to be finding out if he's a good person. Like, you need to be taking the time to get to know them. Like, what she did, married him in a week. Did she?
Oh
I
my
believe she
God.
said she married him in a week.
A
Like, first
week.
of all, the advice, and I'm pretty sure the advice was always to play the damsel in distress, that you need a man to come rescue you because the man wants to rescue you. It's
Ouch.
in his nature to want to rescue you. So that's probably why she, you know, I don't, maybe she was really in that situation or whatever. But the thing is you didn't even take the time to vet this man properly. All you knew is that he had money and that he was going to put you in a better space. We still don't even know truly what his finances are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even really know. To be honest, because like I said, there's a lot of women that said that they were able to get a wealthy husband, but how do we really know that?
We don't. That's the thing.
No.
I do want to say this. I do want to say this. It is very difficult to report sex crimes in general to the police because a lot of time police don't even take you seriously. When you say
Mm-hmm.
that you've been sexually assaulted, you've been raped, whether the person has money or not,
Right.
oftentimes they don't believe women when women come forth and say, "Hey, I've been violated." So, as a woman, you have a responsibility to protect yourself and your female children, male children, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
from the men that you're dating. If you're single and you don't have any children, even protect yourself some more because you got two types of men coming after you. You got men who want to no longer have you out in these streets being single because I don't know, they feel like you have too much freedom, too much power, too much independence, so they come in for your throat. You know, it's men out there that's like that. Then you got men out
Mm-hmm.
there who will try to pump and dump you if you do have kids. If you're a single mother, they have been listening to all of this red pill content and they're going to do whatever they can to destroy you as a human being, especially if you're a black woman. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's sad that there are men that are predators towards women. It's sad it's so many, but it's a reality that women have to face every day. And we have to understand, as bad as we want to follow our desires, follow this love we have for men, follow the sexual attraction that we have for men, we have to be selective about which one of these men we give our time and energy and body and love and stuff to. And too
Mm-hmm.
often, women are deprived and desperate and want a better life and want a man that at this point we're just accepting any man regardless of how he looks, regardless of how he talks, and I just want women to understand that even if you are in despair, okay, it will get better. All right. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to just cling on to any man. God will have something for you if you just hold tight and just keep
That's
praying
true.
and meditating and keep your mind positive. That's all I wanted to say before we move on to the next thing. Somebody sent me a message and told me that Shira's advice worked because Shira's advice got her married 3 times.
Well, if she married 3 times, then how did it work?
Work. Why would you take pride in being married 3 times?
Three
Like,
times, so that means so. Like what? I was girl. People be saying anything. That's what I'm saying. They say anything to justify her. Like they're under a spell. These people are under a spell, girl. Cause 3 times. So you telling me like it didn't work the first time, so you did it again. That didn't work, so you do it again. Like okay, it's not working for you. And a lot
it's
of
not
like
working.
if there is somebody out there that did get a rich man, first of all, it's few and far between. Very few. And
Right.
if it did, it was probably gonna happen to you anyway. That probably was your
Right.
blessing. And that he's a good man, you know what I'm saying? And that he has money. That was your blessing. And that doesn't mean that it's gonna happen to every woman that takes that advice. To me, they call her the sprinkle lady, but I could say single, because taking her advice is gonna have you single.
Right. I think they think because she's married that they're going to have the same outcome she has. But
Yeah, they hope in the
being a home wrecker and side chick don't always end like that. It does not always end to where the side chick ends up marrying the dude. And he wasn't even a wealthy dude. I don't think he was even making over $200,000 a year or even $100,000 a year. Her husband. I think she's probably making more money than him now than he was making in the past. But it's very rare that you're going to find a wealthy man that, number one, isn't already married. Usually, wealthy families are around other wealthy families and they grew up together and they went to high school and college and shit together. A lot of married people, especially the most successful married men in the world, got married young. And a lot of the men that you end up with who are wealthy, they're either divorced and already have built a family, or they're cheating on their wives with you. A lot of them aren't just single men out here who are just financially stable, and they're looking for a woman who is uneducated and broke to cling on to. A lot of these men nowadays are looking for women who can pay for their own flight if they need to meet them in London or XYZ, because they need a woman who has the freedom to meet him wherever he at. And I try to explain that to girls all the time. You're not going to meet a decent dude sitting in a cigar bar. You're not going to meet a decent, wealthy dude in a hotel lobby just sitting
No.
there. That's one that's going to marry you. What Shira teaches you is a way to put yourself in close proximity to the most toxic, wealthy men on the planet who aren't going to be very, very good to you in the end. And I just want women to understand that. And a lot of women aren't being forefront about their experiences with men. They tell you part of the story, and they don't tell you all of the things that they got to do to get men to give them that luxury lifestyle. A lot of them leave out the fact that they're sleeping with a lot of these men for money.
Right. They leave that part out a lot.
Yeah,
A lot. And it's so disingenuous that they do that, because you have so many women who are looking at the lifestyle, they're looking at the aesthetics, and they want that for themselves, and they're leaving out all of the stuff that is happening behind closed doors. They are not transparent about that at all. And that's the problem. That's the issue that I have with it. It's like, if tell the whole thing, tell the whole thing. If you're gonna be out here giving that type of advice, or showing this type of lifestyle, and there's some that have come forward, not just her. There's another influence, I'm not going to say her name, but a lot of girls watched her too, because she was married to this Jewish guy, and he had a lot of money. She came from very humble beginnings. Think she came somewhere over in the islands or whatever. And so, a lot of girls really looked up to her. They wanted to be like her. They didn't even want to be with black men anymore. They wanted them a Jewish guy, a white Jewish guy. And then it came to find out that he was abusing her the whole time. He was raping her too. So, I'm glad that she was able to expose that part, but there are so many women that like to pretend like their life is just perfect. And it's not. If you're going to sit up here and pretend, I feel like you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like that's just disingenuous to sit up here and pretend like you're living this type of lifestyle. But people do it because they don't have any morals, like you said. People, they don't have any morals. It's only about what they can get, and it's just so disheartening to me that the world has turned into this. It really
that's
has. It
true.
breaks my heart, and I'm like, I wasn't even built for that type of life anyway. I was at a point in my life where I was low. I had just broke up with my husband before we got married. We had a rough patch, and that's how I came into Shira's content. I was in a low space, but as I was listening to her and the things that she was saying, and I was doing the readings, and I was seeing some of the girls that were following her advice, and some of the horrible things that were happening to them, I'm like, this is not it, and almost ended up losing my husband behind it.
You want to just came to give me a kiss. You see? You just want to
Oh,
kiss
he
it.
met his mommy. Hey, Justice.
They always projected like they this perfect couple too. When you look at the content, it's so curated, it's so like orchestrated and on point. It looks so perfect. They're
Girl,
living a
don't
luxury
even.
lifestyle. They got the good
That's what
cars,
pulled
the good
me in.
house.
That's what
Yeah, it
pulled
looked
me in. It
good.
pulled me in. It pulled me in, girl. When I tell you, so I started, when I was watching her, or whatever, when I was like at that down point in my life, and then I got into like the groups. Girl, I got into the
Mhm.
groups, honey. And when I tell you, like, these women were posting these beautiful pictures of them on vacations. They had all these designer bags. It was like they were just living the life. And it came out, though, a lot of those women were faking it, you know.
Mhm.
And it's just like, how can you fake that type of stuff? Like, wow, like that
I
has to be a
told
lot of
you.
pressure. So
You
they
could
go buy
pretend.
the bags and then they go sit at the restaurants and they don't order no food. They
Yeah.
just take pictures and stuff.
They just take pictures. Girl, I don't know. I just, it's so, but I guess when you trying to make some money, you do anything low. You do anything,
Yeah, you're
you
right.
know? I mean,
Yeah,
big corporations do it all the time and they try to make it seem like, food is what it is and it's bad for us. They do it all the time. So people aren't getting it from nowhere. They following a formula, a recipe to get people to manipulate people, and they be trying to get that bread. I'm telling you, they're
hmm,
exposing, they're exploiting women and their pain, and that's what Shira does, and that's why I've never respected her. No, you can't have chocolate
yeah.
milk, baby. Can
And
you go
I
sit
will say,
down?
like in the beginning, it was her and James, and James wasn't on camera though, but he was there, and she was almost like holding women accountable, almost kind of like Kevin Samuels. Like I've seen people like saying, like comparing them, and I will say, like I don't see the comparison, especially now. But maybe back then, when she was like James was giving her the advice, and she was telling like the women because she was tired of doing readings for women that were getting played. I get that part. But later on, that's when it started to get like real dark. And a lot of, and another thing too, people need to research her name. I'm just going to say that. They need to
Why?
research her
Why?
name.
Why do they need to research your name?
Because they need to find out who Ashira really is. They need to research who Ashira is in the Bible. You know, for those women who are Christians or believe in God and they're following her blindly, you need to look up her name, and that's all I'm gonna say
I
about it.
mean, I've been on YouTube for a long time, right? I remember when Shira first started doing content, and I couldn't believe it. But I mean, what do you think the appeal is? Because she doesn't show the luxury lifestyle. She doesn't show all of the handbags and the shoes and the trips and stuff.
What it is that, and this is how you know that she's being influenced by spirits, because Shira didn't have a lot of good comebacks. She was very mild mannered when she spoke. She didn't really have any good comebacks in her content in the very beginning until she started to conjure up a lot of these spirits. So when she started to work with this one spirit, I'm not going to say the name in particular, she started to get more wit. She became more witty. So I believe it's the wit, the comebacks. Like I said, the what she puts out there, like if you're already in the toxic space and you're dealing with these toxic men, and it's kind of, you feel like you have the one up on them. You kind of feel like you're the one in control and you're the one in power now. It gives you it's empowerment, but it's a false self of empowerment, because it's like putting you feel like you're in control now. You now control the narrative. I'm not gonna get played anymore. I'm the player, and I'm gonna get what I want out of these men, and that's all it's about. I don't love them, but we as women, biologically, we're not even made up to even act like that. Like, we are very emotional beings. Like, we have to have a connection, and when we cut off that connection to men for something material, it if we have a hole, it makes an even bigger hole, an even bigger void. And so it creates more trauma after more trauma after more trauma after more trauma. It's very unhealthy. Okay, it puts you in a
I'm
very unhealthy space.
I'm glad you figured that out early. I'm glad you didn't
I
fall
did.
victim to the chronic singlehood. You know what I mean? Chronic
Yeah.
singlehood
It was
that these
God,
girls.
girl.
It was God,
I
right?
I I just say it was God. Like, it was God. Like, it was
Yeah.
God that came through
Yeah.
and woke me up, because like you, I know you had said earlier, you was like, you kind of felt like it wasn't even yourself, like you were saying when you were, having a lot of sex and drinking and stuff, like you didn't feel like it was you, right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's how I felt too. So it's almost like our true self takes a back seat and then something else
Right.
controls them. Just
Right.
that's what it feels
It,
like.
it, it was like, and I said this, I think on my Facebook page before, or even in a YouTube video, that for years I was never being me. Like I was being what everybody else wanted me to be. And even when I would have like intercourse with a man, I used to always have to be high or drunk. I couldn't have intercourse with them without it. I never
Hmm.
felt completely comfortable. I mean, from the second I stepped foot in Atlanta, I didn't feel comfortable with myself. And I'm originally from Maryland, Fort Washington, Maryland. Not Baltimore, because when I say Maryland, people automatically assume Baltimore. That's why I say DC. Yeah, I ain't from Baltimore. Baltimore, a whole different. It's on the way on the other side. But
Yeah.
I feel like something took over my body. Like something, I was already having issues, but something took over me. And then when I got
Hmm.
pregnant with my son, I was already getting close to the point where I couldn't take it no more. So I was like, I'm about to leave. And I left and I came to California and the energy been so different with me. It's like when I look back at who I was, it's like, who was that person? Like,
Hmm.
who is that? Like, I wasn't even supposed to become that. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
And when I look back and I think about where my mind was, it's like I wasn't my mind. It wasn't me. It was like something took over. I don't
Hmm.
know what it was though. I
You
mean, I
wasn't
want to say
fully.
the Jezebel spirit. Jezebel spirit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
I
what I
feel like
think.
the Jezebel spirit was a part of me too at one point. I
Yeah.
feel like those spirits, like I said, a lot of it is attached to you in childhood. When you go through certain
Mm-hmm.
childhood spirits, they enter, and then it like they keep they attach and they ride us, and then every experience that we go through and people that we meet, it's to whatever the spirit's agenda is. It like it helps to keep the agenda going. That's the only way that I can describe it. Like it's like, you know what I'm saying, like, okay, because spirits, like the spirit world is real and these spirits communicate, and so they could like have this person that knows they gonna be toxic, put him right there for you when you walk by and then he's trying to holler at you, hey, and this is the guy that just creates more trauma for your life and you're so attracted to them and you don't know why
Yeah.
you're just so head over heels for
Yeah.
them, and and that's what it is. It's the spirit. And it probably is another name for it too, other than Jezebel, but it's that type of spirit. It is that type of spirit. But that's the spirit that Shira rocks with. It's another one too, but that type of spirit, and she'll say like, when I used to watch her, she would give all kind of justifications for this for these dark feminine goddess, and because I was already in the occult and I was already studying this information and stuff like that, I didn't see anything wrong with it. It kind of like resonated with me at the time. But now that I'm in a whole different space and now that I have God in my life, I know that those were demonic spirits. They're demonic spirits. There's nothing good about them. Because if you look at their characteristics, even though they have good characteristics, they have some really dark ones. They have some really dark ones. And they don't really like men or children.
Why?
It probably has a lot to do with just the origins of them. I think it's the family unit, the man and the woman and the child, which is, I believe, was the true Holy Trinity. It's power within that, and I think their whole goal is to destroy that unit.
Okay.
Take the man away because he's the covering. like, and then they can get to the woman. And so that's how, like, a lot of nations and things were brought down, was through the control of a woman.